evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. The 9 justices of the Supreme Court today searching for answers to whether President Trump's executive order to limit birthright citizenship complies with the 14th Amendment. NTD's Arlene Richards was in the courtroom along with President Trump.
The Supreme Court hearing oral arguments today on a very important case to the White House that deals with President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. The president sitting in the courtroom the first time for any U.S. president, and the justices seeming a little more subdued about where they're leaning on this case. On Wednesday, President Trump entered a packed courtroom to watch oral arguments on the issue of birthright citizenship. In January 2025, the president signed an executive order to what he calls end birthright citizenship. Several plaintiffs immediately challenged it, saying it didn't comply with the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment, which was ratified in 1868. Since then, virtually all children born in the United States could become U.S. citizens, whether they intended to stay or not. In Truth Social post days before the arguments, President Trump said the law is being abused for monetary gain. And he pointed out one of the main arguments in the case, that the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof was intended to apply to newly freed slaves who were seeking citizenship. The Solicitor General said a person is subject to the jurisdiction if he is domiciled there.
If you look at the text of the clause, we believe there it says, born in the United States, born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the states of which they reside. So there's a constitutional guarantee that applies to both federal or national and state citizenship. And the key point we make there is that that word reside, if you look at, for example, section 1473 of Justice Story's commentaries, was understood to mean domicile. So when they say subject to the jurisdiction, and then they go on to say you're a citizen of the United States and the state in which they reside, the very text of the clause itself presupposes that the citizen is domiciled in the United States.
Based on that domicile argument, President Trump's executive order says children born to parents who are temporarily visiting or in the U.S. illegally cannot become citizens. Justices Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett asked several questions about domicile and how it relates to citizenship. Justice Gorsuch focused on illegal immigrants.
I'm just working within your argument for a moment. Today, you can point to laws against immigration that are much more restrictive than they were in 1860. We really didn't have laws like that we do today until maybe 1880. So if somebody showed up here in 1868 and established domicile, that was perfectly fine without respect to anything, any